Hello, everybody. Ground back here. And I'm sure at least some of you have been wondering, where is Generation Jumble? Because I was uploading it daily for a while, but then I stopped making uploads. Well, we're going to explain all of that in the video, but if you just want a quick TLDR, the Jumble is not in a good place right now. But me and the council are going to try our best to put it on the right track again. Because we started the season really strong. At the moment, I only have Cyber DJ with me. Zach and Theus is unable to VC, but if he joins later, that'll be cool. But for now, Cyber is here with me, and he'll help me address some of the issues. So how you doing today, Cyber?
I'm pretty good, especially because sooner down the line I'm gonna have more time for these jumbles and these discussions and whatnot.
Okay, your
But
mic,
right now,
your mic seriously glitched out at the beginning there.
oh my bad.
It's fine.
Um,
Just repeat yourself.
yeah, I'm doing pretty good since I'm gonna have more time, especially since I'm gonna have more time to do the jumbles and discussions like that later, and pretty much everything that's only related to the jumble, like the discussion on the council members and the like, that's been going pretty well. So it's not like it's a total loss. It's not like it's a total train wreck just yet.
Mm-hmm.
Far from it.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm still very unsatisfied, and I know you and Zach are as well. So, do you want to just go over these one by one, or do you want to quickly give a brief description of things that are going on, and then we can go into more detail about it later?
I think we need to go on a tangent about specifically the Discord members about suggesting Pokemon. And to be fair, this is more of a quick mention, more as a reminder. If you're gonna suggest a Pokemon on the server, please don't ping Groundback for this. I know you really want this to be in the video. Believe me. I'm still waiting on Electivire myself personally, but just trust the process, guys. We'll get our suggestions eventually. We don't have to ping Groundback every couple of hours for a suggestion.
I never would have said that myself because I would really feel bad, but thank you.
That's again, that's more of a minor problem, a nitpick even. But I
Hmm.
do feel like it is worth noting because, down the line you're gonna have a bigger audience, which means you're gonna have more people, and obviously we need to address this now so that it's less of an issue down the line.
You know
Nip it
what?
in the bud, as they say.
Should I actually put this in my rules channel for the server? Just don't ping me for just video suggestions.
That actually doesn't sound like a bad idea, but we need to do that later.
Yeah, right now we need to discuss the actual like uh the main okay, not even major issues because even at the state now, the server, don't get me wrong, even though we're unsatisfied with where Generation Jumble is, the server itself is still really healthy and the pay to be more active now than ever.
That's true, and I've also been noticing some of that as well. So again, it's still not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we gotta address it. And I think the first thing that we need to address, and this one's probably the hardest pill to swallow because we're kind of all guilty of this one to some extent or another. And that's the perception of certain strategies that have been popping up in the generation jumble
Mm-hmm.
and how has that has been affecting some people.
Yeah, that we definitely should probably go over that. Now there are two strategies. One of them isn't really a strategy, it's just a common mechanic. But there are two things that have been upsetting a lot of people, and that's actually been influencing how people have been interacting and treating others in the server. And that is confusion strats as well as trapping moves such as rap.
We'll start with the rap one since, at least in this case, it's no longer going to be a factor, at least for this round anymore. But it is still worth mentioning. If you're going to discuss the strategy, please do not, please do not annoy anyone over this. I know I hate these strategies as well, but come on, we need to. I don't even know how to word this exactly.
I think I do.
Then try
Because
it.
because here's what's been happening. So there have been some people that have been using confusion strats and some people that have been using trapping strats. And this is definitely something that I've been guilty of, but a lot of times people get really mad when listening to these. Which on its own, like, as long as you're super respectful, isn't the worst thing. But lately, there have been some people that have been called the villain of Generation Jumble Season 2. And that definitely has been having an effect on some of the people who are actually playing. I'm not going to give any names, but yeah, don't just
Of
call someone a
this.
villain just because they're playing something you don't like. This is still a real person behind these screens, and it calling someone a villain, you're basically just saying they're a massive asshole. Like, there's no other way to like go around it.
Yeah, definitely one that we have to like refresh. And it's also one that I was that I'm very guilty of myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was probably the most important point we have to bring up first. Because
Yeah.
this is not a server thing. This was like, to be fair, it wasn't always that bad. Because sometimes it was just like, uh, because there were two types of this. Because the one that was a more common one was an inside joke in the server. Again, I'm not going to mention it, but if you're in the know, you're in the know. And then there was one that, please don't call anyone the villain just for using a cringe strategy.
Mm-hmm. Like, I saw it. Like, I saw it in one of the later games in losers bracket. Like, I was talking about this with one person. I guess it's fine to name drop them I because it's not really a big deal, but like I was talking to Pause One VC after one losers bracket game, and both of us kind of agreed that we think that one of the players in particular was probably like intentionally kind of holding back because they were so worried of people making fun of them for using rap. And I really felt bad after I kind of realized that. And I have to rewatch like their replays. Like the server shouldn't get to that point where like someone doesn't feel comfortable to do something. Because keep in mind these tournaments don't even have like any like reward. There's no cash reward, nor are we even giving you any like titles for winning. There's like nothing to lose if you lose. So there's no need to get mad or to just like get like super competitive to the point where it's getting a little bit toxic. We're not at that point yet, but I just want to make sure we never get to that point in the first place.
We do, we can address it as fast as possible so
Mm-hmm.
that it doesn't become as big of an issue as it could be.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think now that we've got the general idea of that one out of the way, I think the second one is also something we need to focus on. And at first, this is the one that we were going to focus on the most, addressing the timing of matches and how lax the timings have been. Because at least later down the line, some of these matches did actually take a while to begin. And to be fair, that is because a lot of players simply were busy with employment or finals, and that's definitely something to note. But if you are going to be in a position like this, please do tell us in advance.
Mm-hmm.
That would make scheduling a little bit easier, especially now that that in some cases there are co-hosts involved. So sometimes you have to have the person fighting you as well, and then maybe ground back, and then maybe a co-host, and that can be up to four people that you have to work with at once, and that can get really annoying.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like because a lot of people have been just legitimately busy, which I which I definitely understand. But I think the main problem that I have is even when people are busy, even when you vaguely tell us what's going on, I feel like everyone, myself included, could try a lot harder to keep in touch as much as possible. It's one thing to like say, oh, by the way, I'm busy with college or like I'm moving, won't be able to play. which is obviously that's fine. But other times, like you'll say like I'm busy, then like they won't say anything else, and they won't even reach out to your opponent until a day where they might be available. And it's even harder because a lot of these matches have people with completely opposite time zones, which just makes it even more confusing. It's just harder for people to actually reach out to each other.
That's another thing that we're gonna, because the Mr. Jumble himself, and this is something that he and the CEO of Explosion, plus the Beans on Toast enthusiast, have been discussing, and we kind of come to agreement that future brackets will try and better align the time zones because this has been a legitimate problem. For
Yeah.
those that don't know, before it was just random because why would it not be random? But in practice, that's gonna be a problem later down the line because some
Mm-hmm.
matches literally were 12 hours apart and counting,
Yeah.
which is definitely annoying.
So, so here's what's gonna happen in the future. Whenever I like make, or either I make it or I force AJ to make Google Docs, like to sign up for tournaments. I think it needs to be mandatory that you put what your time zone is. That way, it's easier for me to make a bracket where I can put everyone in the same time zone, so it just becomes easier. Inevitably, you'll have where you still need to fight someone potentially 12 hours apart, but ideally, that's only going to start happening once everyone is like it's much further out for further in the tournament. And that's another thing I want to say. Like, I guess like in some ways it has been kind of worse because I've not been more insistent on having co-host, which I think to be fair, like doing that does definitely make the videos better. And since we don't need to wait as long, it's easier to make like a longer video reacting to one match rather than just saving them on the replays and reacting to it later. But just keep in mind, I'm always so insistent on that now because we're so close to the end. Literally tomorrow, we're finally going to have the losers bracket grand finale, and then either Sunday or Monday, Cyber's going to face in grand finals. But once we start another tournament, and for our future tournaments, you don't need to worry about me like having to react to every single individual match, because in the beginning, there's obviously going to be a lot of matches. That's only going to be once we get like further on, either halfway or like past the halfway point for Generation Jumble.
Of having co-hosts, I think I found an interesting workaround that I literally just made up right now, and that is, you know how you just reacted to the replays on the first half of the tournament?
Uh huh.
Just VC a potential co-host for a more interesting one, and you both react to the replay together. And if there's actually something cool that the co-host wants to say, they can just say, "Go back a few turns so we can watch that again," and they can further explain themselves. So that way you can just avoid the hassle entirely.
Huh. Maybe. I kind of like that idea, and I did kind of consider that. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see where things go. But I do think in terms of like scheduling. Oh, one more thing. Uh, Especially for this next tournament, because we had an entire council meeting where I said like we needed to move Poland Takeover to season 4 and then the summer season 3. Well, if I knew it was going to take this long, I wouldn't have had a second tournament for season 2 in the first place. Now it's awkward where it's like if we end season 2 right now, it's going to be in May, like the beginning of May. And I do not think it's a good idea to have a summer season in the beginning of May of all places, especially since like a lot of people are still going to be in school and stuff like that. So we're still going to have the second tournament for season 2, and it might be a controversial decision, but we're going to do the same thing we did with Roscato versus Gabi. And for those who don't know, because why wouldn't you? Because I didn't say anything on the channel. But in a vote that was 2-1, I'm not going to say who voted for what, but we made the controversial decision because Gabi versus Roscato was taking so long that we literally flipped a coin to decide who wins, and Roscato won. So for the second tournament for season
Clear.
2,
That was a digital coin, and it wasn't a biased decision.
yeah,
And The Generation Jumble Council Discord still has the video up. So if you want to say you just cherry picked the person to win, you just cherry picked them to win so that they could go farther. No, we didn't.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so for the second tournament, we're gonna have a very, very strict schedule of 3 days. And like obviously there could be exceptions of like both people are legitimately trying to have their matches, but if we're not hearing a lot from people, we're either gonna give it to the person that's actually been active, or we're gonna flip a coin to decide who wins. Because we can't have the second tournament drag on as long as the first tournament did. Otherwise, it'll be like August by the time we finally get to the summer season, which obviously isn't a good idea. So it might be controversial, and I am worried that might alienate a lot of people from joining. However, I do feel like once we get past season 2, season 3 will be a much more relaxed season, as you can probably imagine from a summer season. And another thing I'll mention is the second tournament was supposed to be the one to help decide more council members, but since obviously the entire thing will probably be rushed, which means people won't be playing at their best, instead, I've just been really paying attention to everyone in the server. I think after the first tournament is done, we'll probably announce one of the council members that if we're being honest, we already sat down even before the first tournament even started. But then afterwards, I'll just talk with the other council members, and I'll pay attention to the server, and then I'll have like anywhere from like 3 to 4 potential candidates that we'll discuss. So debate will be more fair. Because it would be kind of weird just to have like every council member only win if they do good in tournaments, especially since like then it kind of would ever make everything super competitive and probably not a very nice environment to be in.
Thing with the council members that I need to bring up, and this is something that I opposed at first, but I am actually more neutral on right now, and that was voting for the fourth member right, well, basically after the first part 1 of season 2 is done. And at first I was opposed because I was like, but like, why do we have to do it now? And then Zach and Theus couldn't make it to this meeting, and I was like, maybe having the fourth member here isn't as bad as it could be. Because that's another thing. Zach and Theus is like 3 hours ahead of Groundback, 4 hours ahead of me. So that makes things difficult. So in practice, I don't think having the fourth one here is as bad as it is, only because of scheduling. And on top of that, we I don't know how to word this one, but yeah, that was definitely we definitely shouldn't be picking just who wins gets to be the next council member, because that actually was how it was for season 1, where I made it to second, Zach and Theus made it to third. Groundback picked both of us, and Zach and Theus didn't even know he was going to be in the position, and he's the one who's doing the most work. Imagine that.
Yeah, like the way I see
But
it,
in all,
Zach and Theus is the one council member who like is usually on the sidelines. He's usually doing all the work, like like behind the scenes. Meanwhile, Cyber is like the spokesperson, the one that everyone sees and the one that everyone knows about. He doesn't do that much work, but he does stand there and he looks pretty, so everyone loves him.
exactly. That's why they call me the CEO of Boom.
I guess I'll talk about this now because those 3 points we went over when it comes to people not being respectful, schedules, and then pinging me. Those are the main things that we really wanted to address. But since we're here, I've been beginning to have this conversation with Zach and Cyber, just haven't had the time. And this is so related to Generation Jumble, so I'll just mention it here. So I've had a few VCs with Plausible, and I actually feel like he brought up some good points. We were originally thinking of like 5 members, but I'm honestly kind of leaning towards maybe 7. Which I know sounds crazy, but when we had that one VC with Sotina and Pause going over season 3's roster, that didn't seem that. like complicated or like some people too many people speaking over each other. But especially with lately, because one thing that was kind of considered but didn't go anywhere was I almost considered putting Paldean and Toros for the second tournament as a way to both spice things up as well as celebrate 1,000 subscribers. And that was the first time Zach and Theus was like seriously opposed to it. And or not Zach and Theus, Cyber was seriously opposed to it. Zach and Theus were just neutral, so it didn't really go anywhere. Also with the one decision with like, Galbi versus Riscato, well, being a very controversial vote, as well as what Cyber was talking about, Zach not being here. I feel like having 7 is one, the same amount as like I think the OU council, so that would already be fitting. But the two way more important reasons, one is that lately we've been having a lot more super serious votes. So I really do feel like we kind of need more people to really vote for something as big as like let's say making something a little coin toss or adding something in. Also, with just more people, it means it's not as bad if other council members can't show up. Because with only 3 of us, it's kind of awkward because sometimes, like one of us is available, but it's weird having a third of your team not there. So I feel like with 7, we can just have more council meetings, and it's not a big deal if some people can't show up.
And on top of that, there's also that in the case of like, well, and then it's off topic, but this council member also said this would also be just much easier to justify since if there's let's say 5 people in the or like there's like 3 people and you have the decision eventually voted by 2 people plus a wall of text, that's kind of awkward. So at least with more members, it would just be a lot easier to do things in general.
Mm-hmm.
The scheduling is also less of an issue, and also it's just going to be much more convenient for everyone involved. And it
Yeah.
also means that it doesn't feel like the entire tournament is being governed by 3 people,
That's another
which it
thing.
technically is.
Yeah, it kind of is. And like, council members also by default are just moderators for my server. So just having more people just makes it easier in general, to be honest. But yeah, like I think the best thing about it outside of scheduling is that I just figured it just feels like we have more integrity if there's like just more people that need to vote for something to get done. Because now, like, just one person already has like 33% of the vote. And to be honest, that's not even completely true. Because I think if Cyber and Zach, let's be real, I think you guys definitely are more lenient on things I say just because I'm the YouTuber.
Uh, I mean, I'm not gonna say that's true, but I'm not saying it's wrong.
Yeah, not like big. Like if normally 3 people would be 33% of the vote, I think it's more so like Zach. I don't know. It's more like Cyber's like 30% of the vote, and then Zach's like 10%. Because I don't appreciate people that put beans on toast.
Exactly. Finally, someone's on the right page.
Yeah, but I really do want to make Generation Jumble better. And season 2 really did have a really strong start, but I feel like I definitely think with these last 2 matches, that might be able to like start hype up again. And the fact that like we'll quickly get this one tournament done by May, I do think by the time that's done, season 3 will probably have a lot of new people joining. And I really do hope that like that'll be a much more relaxed season. And to be honest, since most people will probably be off school and all that stuff, maybe we can actually afford a more relaxed schedule then. Who knows?
It's worth considering, but I do. Oh, this is something that's been nagging at me for a while. If you are busy and you're just like, hey man, we're kind of busy and we need more delays, I'm just saying, if you can squeeze in like one match one day, then you wait till the next day to get a second match done, repeat cycle until the sets are done. I'm just saying, we're probably going to be a little more flexible with you since we know that you're at least trying.
Uh huh. And people did do that like in season 2 so far. There was like one person from like I think Chile, another person from the UK, and that's literally what they did. They had like one match like per day, and like it's much more manageable to spend like 15 minutes per day doing a battle and just not doing anything at all.
Yeah, and it also lets us know you're actually trying and that you're not just, you just want, and it lets us confirmed to lets us know that you're still trying and you're not wasting anybody's time.
Yeah, exactly. That's also part of the reason why we made the controversial decision to flip a coin for Riscato and Gabi. Both were definitely busy, but I definitely felt like both could have tried a little bit harder. More so one or over the other, but I won't say who. But like, hopefully that won't be an issue
It
anymore.
depends.
Yeah, I definitely think like it'll be weird, kind of artificially like making the bracket, but like I do think it's worth it just so that like it's easier for scheduling. I think ironically, if it gets bigger, it won't be as bad. Like it will never happen to this point, but like let's say we got to a point where like it got as big as like ADV revival. At that point, it's like even if some people don't do no shows, it's a lot easier to just move on anyways. We're in a weird spot where there's a lot of people, but still relatively small compared to other Pokemon tournaments, which just kind of gives you the worst of both worlds.
Yeah, I guess it kind of just depends. Then there's also the fact that, again, there isn't really a reward here, so it is mostly just a funness factor,
Yeah.
which some people aren't inherently like, you know. Actually, I don't know, but you know the point. You get the point.
You get the point. If you don't get the point, you should um I don't know. I'm trying to
Just
think of a
join
threat.
the
How do I
Discord
threat them?
server. You you can join the Discord server and you can see how talented some of the artists are.
That
That'd
is
be pretty
true.
cool.
There's been some really awesome art from like Cyber here and also Sotina. They keep on like drawing like my favorite characters, and it's awesome. Sotina drew me with like Charizard and fucking Godzilla. Cyber also had one with like UCT from Yu-Gi-Oh. It is like literally the best timeline if you're ground back.
You've also got other. And then there's other people involved. Some people are just sending arts from like other social medias. Then you have Robot Plush with his pixel arts. I'm just saying, we got a little bit of it's not just a Pokemon thing. There's also some Yu-Gi-Oh things, which I don't know. I don't play that, but I guess it has an audience. You
Uh
could just
huh.
send some memes. I don't know, or I don't know. Maybe the others get motivated to play Minecraft.
That actually
I
is one thing I'm planning on. Like I talked about it would have been the server, but I am working on. I do want to work on a my big Minecraft server that hopefully will be released around like June or July, same time as Generation Jumble. I think summer's the perfect time to release an SMP.
let him cook, folks. Let him cook.
Hmm. Yes, let me cook. I have literally never had a bad idea in my entire life. And we're not gonna count saying
Meanwhile,
Vegeta's good because I dropped that very quickly in the grand scheme of things. So I don't want to hear it, Cyber.
you're safe for now.
Let's go. Also, I'm assuming I'm just safe from like how I won in season one, considering like the way I lost my matches in season two.
You know, I do think it's kind of funny that I lost the first finals match from a freeze, and then I almost lost my second finals match from a freeze. I'm beginning to sense a pattern that I'm not so sure I like.
I mean, no, you said you almost lost, but you didn't. So you actually like fought past it. So this is actually your character development.
That's true.
Yeah, so like next time you're gonna get a freeze, it's gonna be for a Pokemon you don't care about.
Finally, Porygon is relevant.
Yeah, you're just gonna be like, oh no, I can't believe you froze my Rhydon, even though I already killed your Zapdos.
But Rhydon is the GOAT. I need him. Except for Mega. He's good death fodder.
Hmm. Oh yeah, that's like the fourth issue I forgot about. Yeah, Mega is still very mid, and we don't know a way to change that.
Actually, there's a lot of Pokemon that we voted on that were just kind of awful,
Yeah.
and well, there's nothing really. Well, I would roast Grandback for voting on Toxapex, but unfortunately, I vouched for Clodsire, so I have to keep my mouth shut. Unfortunately.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure at this point it's been too long. I don't think we're gonna really consider probably Antoros anymore. So the roster we have now it's going to be finalized. Which kind of sucks. I think like Amoonguss, Quotsire, and Toxapex probably won't be used. But also like I don't know. I feel like every season needs at least like a few joke Pokemon. But Toxapex might be going a little too far. At least with like Amoonguss and Quotsire, they have like some things going for them. Toxapex is yeah, it sure does exist.
Yeah, this is another thing that I needed. Actually, while we're on the topic, we might as well address this. I don't give a crap that Drapion's typing makes it feel more like a dark type than a poison type. If the choices are so bad that we have to consider Toxapex, we either shorten the roster to have less joke picks or we stretch the rules. Cause straight up. Cause
Yeah,
half the poison type roster is either death. Cause let's take a look at the poison type roster. Toxapex, a synonym for useless and worthless. Clodsire, not cute, but also worthless. Amoonguss, worse Jinx, and Jinx is a lot better, but you're also weak to Grak. We're also weak to Ice now. Have fun with that. Naganadel, honorary poison. Sneasler, honorary poison.
they got into honorary, sure, but Sneasel actually does use Poison Jab. And that's like its main attacking move.
Fair enough, but that doesn't change the fact that 3 out of 5 poison types are just kind of poison types by technicality. If anything, Gengar's hard carrying the poison type.
Gengar and Tentacruel, apparently.
No, unironically, Gengar got the message, and Tentacruel just showed up here because he was just kind of bothered from being the bouncer of overuse for too long. And he's like, I'm just here to blow off some steam, guys. And
To be honest,
I don't know.
that's actually part of the reason why like some of the other poison types are so bad. Like Crobat, thankfully managed to be pretty good, but like I also figured Gen 1 has so many poison types anyways that I figure, okay, we don't need to add a lot of super good poison types. Because I'm sure some of the old ones will just be more than enough to buff the type and make it relevant. And I do think Gengar, Naganadel, Sneasler, Crobat, and Tentacruel, those 5 alone are already good enough to where poison is a type you need to respect.
Yeah, that's another thing. Most poison types are also player exclusive for the most part because only one person is using Crobat to anything remotely good to success. Only one person used Tentacruel to anything close to success. So in practice, it's basically just Naganadel, and Sneasler is either broken as hell or just a decent fighting type, I guess.
Yeah, it's either ban worthy with Direct Claw or just a worse Naganadel.
You know, no, it's Naganadel, but it has a low kick.
No way! That's insane! Hmm.
At this point, it's kind of just too late to fix it. But if I'm
Yeah.
gonna be honest, I would have at least vouched for Skunk Tank if I had known that we could have bended the rules a little bit in hindsight. Had I known that you were gonna vouch for Toxapex, I would have just found you to do Skunk Tank. Because at least then, that's a garbage Pokemon getting carried by a good typing Gengar. Because if you look at the other lower tier poison types, only Tentacruel got that much better. Because let's be real, Gengar was a good Pokemon that got buffed. It's like the Tyranitar thing, where it's a good Pokemon where it got even better.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Tentacruel did actually get decent mileage out of Poison Jab. And I did try to use Nidoking, and you can confirm this. Yeah, I really wish I was using Rhydon that game.
You don't understand, like, Nidoking actually does become the best Pokemon in NU when it has Poison Jab.
Yeah, it's a shame that Generation Jumble never used doesn't exist.
Maybe they could in this future, but like, now with like many seasons being a thing. But who knows? I will say though that this season, like, a big thing with me was just keeping the integrity of Gen 1. So I didn't want to add any like psychic fairy or not psychic, dark steel or fairy types. But I would be totally down to revisiting this at some point, trying to buff, the four weakest types again. But next time, no restrictions whatsoever. So if we want to add like a poison dark type, that's fine. You want to add like Duraludon like a steel dragon, that's also fine. We can definitely do stuff like that in the future. So I do think we will have a fully realized version of just this entire concept. What if we buff the four weakest types? It wasn't perfect this time, but that's the good thing about having so many seasons. We have plenty of time to improve.
Exactly. And then we got season 3, Summertime Lovin',
Hmm.
which I am very proud of that name, by the way. We've
Yeah.
already got the roster finalized.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, if you're not going to participate in season 2, which on the second season 2 tournament, which you should, by the way, I don't know, maybe you can try out season 3 and see if it's up your alley. And then we got the Hoenn Takeover, which is our very first Ubers format.
Uh-huh. Now, let me remind myself, which Pokemon does Sunny go over for season 3? A Sunny go over Vanillux, a Alolan Executor, Camerupt, a Gastrodon, Volbeat, and I think that's it, right? I think I've already gone over half of them.
That's definitely true. And I don't know how much of a say I have in this discussion, but I'm gonna be honest. I feel like the next one should be Camerupt, just because it's a mixed attacking ground type, which in Gen 1, I don't think that exists in Gen 1.
Only reason it probably won't be is because I'm probably going to be tackling the Treasures of Ruin, which means I'm definitely going to go over Chi very soon after just doing Chandelure.
Oh yeah, you need to do that, and Wochien,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately.
I'm gonna try really
Um,
hard to do Wochian without using a signature move, considering the other three definitely won't be getting it.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't even think it's gonna be that good, even with Ruination. But I can be surprised.
Yeah, I probably won't. If it ends up being bad without it, I'll just won't include it either way. I'll only include it if it does make it super good. But I would imagine Super Fang moves are only good when the Pokemon's like, kinda fast.
Yeah, yeah, shocker. Mm, Raticate still sucks. You hate to see it.
Hmm. I happen to let you know that it's actually kind of mildly terrifying at Pokemon Stadium rentals.
Huh. Yeah, that feels like an empty threat.
No, you don't understand. My focus energy actually works in rentals. So Eradicate can go for focus energy, and then a critical hyper beam is basically the strongest consistent damage in the entire game.
And you're locked into the move.
Oh yeah, that's right. I guess you are locked into it because there's no It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Eradicate is the Baticate, but Baticate isn't like a badass. Not bad as in he's just bad.
We'll see about that. And speaking of we'll see, that is good. You will not be seeing much more of us because this video is finally coming to a close.
Yeah,
That being
exactly.
said,
We
I
need.
will be giving you a few messages.
Oh.
A, join the server, do things, please credit my art. B, congratulate me on my win. If you don't see me for a couple of days, please send help.
Hmm.
And 3, subscribe to the ground back, but don't
True.
like his videos.
Yeah. Yeah, and by the way, I forgot to say when we were talking about Discord server, but uh like Cyber said, a lot of non-Pokemon things go on there. And Yu-Gi-Oh! Chat's actually been very active lately. But just know, if you actually do want to, like, play Yu-Gi-Oh! With us, one of my mods, Myrox, changed it to where you can only, like, access the Yu-Gi-Oh! VC if you're actually a Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan and you get the Yu-Gi-Oh! Roll. Because, like, this isn't really an issue anymore because Myrox kind of fixed it, but Myrox really didn't like whenever we would play like Yu-Gi-Oh! And then how much of non-Yu-Gi-Oh! Fans would just join the VC and start talking about Pokemon. So the Yu-Gi-Oh! VC is locked to only people with Yu-Gi-Oh! Role. So if you join the server, there's going to be a big thing of roles. You just gotta click those, and then you'll get the roles so you have more access to stuff. Just when you know now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And there's another thing. Maybe if we're lucky, we can finally get the 4-hour rant rant and anthology about how Godzilla would solo all of Overused. If we can get
Yes.
over 300 members by the end of this, if we can get 500 members by the end of the summer, there will be a What If Godzilla entered the Kanto region. And do we know that I will watch that video while I'm asleep, and I
Uh,
will give it ad revenue.
I don't know, cause like I don't know how many people saw it, but like a few days ago, I did upload a Godzilla video. Nothing Pokemon related. But the video did so bad, I woke up 6 hours later and it only had like 14 views. So I actually unlisted it out of embarrassment.
Oh, that's why so. That's why the view count just stopped.
No, view count didn't just stop, it just didn't begin in the first place. Like last night, I uploaded a video like what Shell Smash was in like Gen 1 OU. I went to bed with it having like 7 views, woke up with 130. I went to bed to like the Godzilla video having like 1 view, and then wake up to 14. It, I just do
They're
not think it
just
was gonna
not real
pop off at
fans.
all.
Then they just ain't your real fans.
I guess
SMH.
they're not. But if you would like to see more Godzilla content in the future, please let me know because I need encouragement. But that's about it. Thank you, Cyber, for being here. Be sure to say in the comments just how much you're disappointed at Slack and Theus for not showing up, even if he had real things to do, which he probably didn't because he's British.
Exactly, because British people are aliens.
Yeah, British people suck. See, the British people are so bad, they really glitched out Cyber's microphone. Remember that next time you want to VC with someone. When the British are there, you're in danger. Yeah, we're
Really,
definitely getting.
they might put my win in jeopardy.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. But yeah, we're definitely. We cannot end a council meeting without going unhinged at the end. So hopefully you're entertained by this. If you're not, fuck you. But I guess I'll just be looking forward to seeing you in the future. I guess.